Hey, I'm here in a blanket with a picture of my late dog on it, which you can't really see the picture, so I'm not going to bother panning down to show it. And I really wanted to talk about the new Gorillaz project. So there have been rumblings for a little while of something new with Gorillaz. The first step is always that the collaborators are writing things on Twitter, just saying, "Hey, I was in the studio with Gorillaz the other day. I was in the studio with Damon," and because you have so many collaborators, they're gonna talk. They're pretty famous on their own. They have people asking them what they're up to. They're gonna say something. Um, then we had stuff from Jamie on Instagram, and he's always posting new Gorillaz art. You don't really know all the time if I think really every piece of Gorillaz art he makes has been for a new project. But when you see Gorill's art on his Instagram, sometimes you think, oh, well, maybe he's just doing it. Maybe he just kind of likes drawing these people, which he clearly does. But if you see Gorill's art on James' Instagram, which you do pretty much all the time because he works on this stuff so far in advance, you can pretty much guarantee that there's going to be a new Gorillaz project, which is usually an album. But in this case, well, we'll get to that. So uh, Jamie was posting art, and he was also sort of hinting at something happening with Gorillaz, but he wasn't saying it was an album because he was saying it in response to people asking him about the Gorillaz show that had sort of been hinted at, proposed, talked about by Jamie over the past couple years. There's a Gorillaz animated series. And he would say something like, well, something's happening, just stay tuned. And so people thought, well, he didn't say it was a series, so is it the series? What's going on? And we now sort of know what this thing is. It's called Song Machine, and the format and the way they're announcing it is a little confusing because they haven't really directly announced. I gotta make sure this thing stays on. They haven't really announced what the format is. They haven't announced exactly what it is. But especially today, we sort of know what the structure of it will be. Yesterday, they released a song, quote unquote, which was the Song Machine theme song, which is 30 seconds and it is literally a theme song. Um, and people already had an idea of what this might be when they heard that, but now we know for sure because today has been released a little audio sketch on YouTube starring some of the characters, and they also put up a teaser for a new song, which sounds really good, by the way. But I'll get to that. Um, and they put up a YouTube page to remind you when the new song is going to premiere. And on this page, they call it Season 1, Episode 1. So it seems pretty clear that this project is sort of what the animated series idea has evolved into. Doesn't surprise me that they still weren't able to fund a series, even in this day of Netflix, who has been joked in several TV series about wanting to fund literally everything they can get their hands on. I think Gorillaz is still viewed as just a risky proposition by people. Animation, especially at the level that I know Jamie would want, costs a lot. Especially if Jamie would want to combine it with live action. I don't think it would be right to assume that that's cheaper than animating it fully. I don't really know. But in any case, I think Gorillaz is probably still viewed as kind of a risky thing by a lot of companies, so it doesn't really surprise me that if they wouldn't have been able to get another animated series funded. I say another because they were trying to do the movie project even before Demon Days. Um, so I think this is what that project has turned into. It is a new album, pretty much, which is surprising. And I was a little apprehensive about that possibility because this would be the third album in sort of the new uh, post the fall era of Gorillaz. I sort of view Gorillaz, Demon Days, Plastic Beach, and The Fall is sort of like the first era of Gorillaz, and then Humans, the Now Now, and now this new album, Song Machine, will kind of be the second era. And I think there's been a real shift in sound, and I'm gonna say a slight downturn in overall creativity among the music. um, from Damon in this new era. So that's why I was a little apprehensive about a third album, because that would basically mean that with the fall as the midpoint, there would be 3 albums in the first era, 3 albums in the second era, which is like, oh, we're losing touch with that original Gorillaz. But any Gorillaz is good. Like the more Gorillaz there is, the more likely there's going to be a great song, even if Damon probably isn't spending as much time crafting each album. And even if there's a whole lot of collaborators now, and that's sort of what Gorillaz has kind of turned into, is this sort of project to work with others. Uh, but what that kind of means, if there's a looser feel to it, is that Damon is more free to experiment. So that can sometimes lead to some really interesting stuff. And that's where we come to this new song, which it's called Momentary Bliss. Let me just use my touchscreen here. I'm holding out the phone. It's featuring Slow Thigh and Slaves are the two. I assume the first one is probably a person, the second one is probably a group. And it's called Season 1, Episode 1. So this is the first installment of this album, Song Machine, which we know at the very least will come each week with an audio sketch with the characters. And people are confused by this audio sketch because they don't know what they're talking about. I think 2D, if you listen to it, he's just talking about how he met the collaborators. He says, I met some friends. So I don't know if we can expect each week's audio to be related to the song in some way, but I think that's what this week's is about. So each week there's going to be an audio, there's going to be a song, and eventually we'll have a season, which will be an album. And the interesting thing is that it says here that this is season 1. So maybe there will be more of this later on. Maybe we'll get one each year for a little while. Will they be considered separate albums? Will they be considered all parts of one massive album? Will they be considered something else? I don't know. But like I said, I think Damon's experimenting a lot, and the new song, it sounds really cool. It's got a real rock and roll feel to it, which I really like. Rock is my favorite genre. I'm one of those old school guys who thinks they're better than everyone else because they like classic rock. um, and I just really like that Damon is sort of going back to that. It almost reminds me of punk from Phase 1 a little bit. So I think those worries about this new era of Gorillaz is different from the old era. They're worries, and they've up to now sort of been supported by the albums not generally being as good. But I mean, there's no reason that Damon can't still put out some real bangers, and the video looks like it's going to be cool. It's going to be some more, live action backgrounds with the girls' characters, but it seems like it's going to be more of like a kind of a rougher thing this time compared to Humility. Like it's almost like shot on a cell phone camera or something. Like it's just kind of regular, them hanging around with the collaborators. So I think this new project is really cool. I'm really wondering, is there going to be a video for each song? Are they all going to be as sort of well produced as I assume this one is going to be, or are they going to be smaller things like when they had? Did they have a video for every song in the fall? I think they might have that were basically just like slideshows. So I don't know. There's some stuff that we're still unsure about. But what we can be sure about is that this is the Song Machine project, is this new album, which is being released as a season of episodes with accompanying material, which for now is audio. We'll see. Maybe we'll get some other stuff. I really like what they did with the story part of Gorillaz in the last phase, actually. I really love the Murdoch chatbots. Those were really fun. The story was just generally interesting with Murdoch's breakout from prison, and Ace. I mean, Ace energized like the whole Gorillaz project and fans. Just the inclusion of Ace was like such a big deal because it brought a lot of new people in, and that's always Gorillaz' greatest strength, is that every time they return, there are new people who are noticing this thing called Gorillaz that is still insanely original. There is still nothing else like it. There are others that have tried to come in and do something like this. They have not succeeded 10% as well as Gorillaz have. So every time Gorillaz comes back, people are noticing. There are new kids that are getting to the age where they're going to discover Gorillaz, just like I did when Demon Days came out, and they're noticing. And Gorillaz is always picking up fans. Probably not dropping that many of them. So all that needs to be done is just for the content to be good, the content to be there. The Now didn't do as well as Humans, but that doesn't at all mean that this new album can't be better. Because I think they are always picking up fans. So that's what I have to say about it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Sorry if I was a little negative. I'm still such a huge Gorillaz fan, and Damon can do whatever the hell he wants because I was a little mad when they were only two Gorillaz albums, but then they put out Plastic Beach, which was freaking amazing. So as far as I'm concerned, in the end, despite what my feelings may be, everything else is really just coasting on that win. So let me know what you think in the comments if you have anything else to say about Song Machine, and I'm looking forward to what we get.